Good morning. My name is Nick,
I'm Mindy.
and we're here on a very sunny Wednesday with a little bit of snow left over still. It was very pretty.
I like seeing snow with green under it.
It was cool.
Just very pretty
Yeah.
this morning. So
Athena's at our household. Athena's poor tulips. I don't think they have any pretty petals left. But we had them for a month or so. They were wonderful. Yeah. So we're gonna continue our series on prayer with a couple more ideas about ways we can talk about prayer and kind of explain it with some visuals and some things that just help us remember different aspects of prayer and can encourage us and remind us to pray in a more regular way.
yeah, last week we talked about some ideas for younger kids. We showed a book that was a really good resource, and then Nick shared some different animals that can be used to help kids remember, especially those animal lovers. So today we're going to talk through some ideas for older kids that you can use to help them as they process what prayer is.
Yeah. So one idea that I have that I was taught when I was in high school, kind of just helps you think through things, is the idea of the four aspects of prayer representing four different rooms in a house, or even a couple more depending on how you want to do it. But the first one is confession, kind of representing like the porch of a house or the front room of a house or the mud room where you're gonna take off your coat and you're gonna take off your shoes. You're not gonna track your dirt and your outside gunk into the house. You're gonna take that off, leave it at the porch, take care of it, leave it there. So there's the idea of confession.
For some kids that may be hard if they don't ever take their shoes off.
Might be hard, or ever wash their hands, or whatever it is. The next one is thankfulness or Thanksgiving being the idea of the living room. Now, I like this a lot because we spend, I think, usually as a family, or at least in my own life, I spend the majority of my time in the living room when I'm at home, and I like that that's kind of where we should be camping as followers of Christ. Always have this attitude and an idea of thankfulness and going to God with our Thanksgiving, and just always kind of living life as a thankful person, and that should drive who we are because of what Christ has done. So thankfulness is the living room. The next one, adoration, I always think of as like the den, or we don't have like trophy rooms necessarily. Maybe you do if you're like really into sports and all your kids are sporties and you have lots of trophies, then that's awesome. But I think of it as like a kid walking into their parents' den, and it's like these big, and it all feels big, and big bookshelves, and like maybe like a big globe in the corner. It kind of feels mysterious and cool, and like
an animal on the wall.
Yeah, or like a
hunter.
stuffed animal, or the head of a mongoose, or who knows what. But the idea that we like go to God in adoration, and that can be kind of associated with a room like that in the house. And lastly, petitioning or asking requests of God, I think of as a bedroom. Often, when we're with little kids or when we're taught to pray as young Christians from our parents growing up, oftentimes that prayer time is associated with bedtime at night, and mom and dad are like, okay, what do we want to ask God for? Or what can we, pray about at the end of the day? And I like that idea of being alone and silent kind of in your bedroom, and that's when we can go to God with really what's on our heart and what do we need, what are we longing for, kind of pour that out to Him in kind of the privacy of a bedroom. Not that we can't and shouldn't do that with others, but the idea that kind of that's the last thing you do before your day ends is you kind of cast all your cares to God and give Him everything that's going on inside. So that's it. Those are my ideas for the rooms of a house with prayer. Those four. And
if you're thinking about those too, just the order of prayer, sometimes we can get it. Not that there's a set order we have to use, but sometimes going in and confessing first. Like it's those things that we, forget to do or that are harder to do. So the order of that is kind of nice too, to keep that in our heads, because we don't want to just neglect certain aspects. So the other one we just want to share with you today is the simple one that many of you may have heard, but just if you haven't, we want to make sure that we go over that with you. So the ACTS, ACTS, remembering that. Now, with little kids or younger kids, you may want to teach them the sign language, like the A, C, T, S, just so that they have it just helps it with memory more when there's a motion to go with it. So, you may not hang A, C, T, S up in your house, but even just thinking through like A, C, T, S, when they're folding their hands, they can do that to help them think of A, I'm going to adore him, C, I'm going to confess, T, I'm going to thank him, and S at the end, I'm going to supplication, ask for things. So supplication is a big word, but helping kids understand that. So just thinking through acts as they're with their hands, but adore, confess, thank, and ask for things, supplication. Same things that Nick shared, but just in a different way. Same thing. So you've got the animal illustration from last week, the letters, and potentially sign language, and then the house. So you can think of your children and how they learn best, what might stick with them, and it might stick a different way, a different day. So going through it over and over in a different avenue, a different format might help. So we hope those ideas helped you as you coach and teach your children about prayer, and you model it for them and with them all throughout the day. So we get a lot to be thankful for today.
We do.
And so just enjoy that today with your families, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Have a good Wednesday.